I'm Stephanie Hall, and I'm here with Behind the Savor at the Muertos Fest. Excuse the non-R roll. And we're interviewing some people today regarding the food and culture of San Antonio. Okay, hi, we're downtown here at the Day of the Dead Festival at La Villita, and this is Mary Martha. How are you today, Mary?
I am well, thank you.
Good. And we're going to ask her a few questions about San Antonio, but first off, how long have you lived in San Antonio?
About 10 years.
10 years? Okay, great. And then what do you think about San Antonio and its food and like the San Antonio and food and culture?
Well, I think it's wonderful. Obviously, I like food, and that may be why you picked me. But there's such a variety here in town. We have, of course, the Spanish culture, Hispanic culture here, and all of the foods that go with that. But there's so many others. There's Indian. There's anything you can think of, and it's just such a wonderful place that you can see that mix.
Yeah, very good. And then, what's your favorite restaurant in San Antonio, and why?
Let me think.
I know, there's a lot to choose from.
I know. That's a hard one because I like almost every restaurant I've ever eaten in. My favorite here in town would probably be a little Mexican restaurant that's right down the street from my house.
Okay. What is that called? Do you know the name?
It's called, it's part of a chain. I'm not going to remember it. El Jalisco, maybe.
Okay, El Jalisco, there's one by my house. I'm trying to think of what it's called as well. It's El Jalisco de something or other.
Yeah.
What side of town is that on?
On the northwest. I live near SeaWorld.
Okay, very good. And why is that your favorite? Just
because I like the way they prepare the Mexican food there.
Okay, wonderful. And then what do you think about the culture? Why do you think culture in San Antonio is important to the restaurant industry in our city?
Well, because we have so many different, it's like a melting pot like the United States, and we have so many different groups here. I think obviously today in a festival like this, you're going to think about the Mexican culture, but there's so many other groups here that are represented by large numbers of people, and they tie in to the foods they want to eat. Yeah. And I think that's why we have so many Mexican restaurants, why we have several Indian restaurants, why we have Vietnamese restaurants.
And then, why do you love living in San Antonio?
Because it's a wonderful city. There's so much to do. I lived in Houston for a while, and I really liked the opera. I liked a lot of the outdoor things that Houston could offer. But San Antonio has more of a feel of family, or as we say in Spanish, la familia. Yeah. And it's important, and it kind of gives San Antonio more of a heart. And so it's a more friendly town, a more open town. It's wonderful.
And I agree. I'm born and raised here. Are you from here? You're from
I'm from South Texas.
South Texas? Okay, and how long have you actually lived in San Antonio?
10 years.
10 years. Okay, great. And then, how do you think food and culture relate to the identity of San Antonio? Who we are?
Well, we are all about people enjoying themselves, being fulfilled, being happy. That's kind of what this city represents. And for most human beings, food is part of that whole thing, being happy, being fulfilled, and the two mix, and that's what makes San Antonio part of what it is. I mean, most of what it is.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Mary Martha. Very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
You have a wonderful day.
And I'm going to give you one grito.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, San Antonio.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
You're welcome.
Hi again. We're here downtown at La Villita, and this is Ricky, and he's going to answer a few questions for us about San Antonio and culture. Are you from San Antonio?
I am.
Great. And when you think of San Antonio and food, what do you think of?
I think about my parents and my family's cooking, so Mexican food, Tex-Mex. I think we have the best Tex-Mex food in all of the country. So a lot of the culture, a lot of the family traditions go into the cooking and go into the food. So
Awesome. And then, what's your favorite restaurant in San Antonio and why?
oh wow. Well, after that answer, I'm not going to pick a Mexican restaurant. My favorite restaurant would definitely have to be Hot Joy.
Okay, I haven't tried it yet.
It's a good restaurant. Like an Asian fusion, kind of a noodle house. So it's definitely tasty.
Yeah, and is it just the reason why just because it's a little different, or?
It's definitely a little bit different. I don't think there's a place like it in San Antonio. They put a fun twist on a lot of their Asian dishes and a lot of their noodle dishes, and use ingredients that aren't common here, I think, in the U.S. too. So.
Okay, great. And then, what do you think, when you think of San Antonio, what do you think about the culture, and why do you think the culture is important to the restaurant industry?
It's who we are. I mean, if you look at the growing population of Hispanics in the country, it's only growing exponentially. So it's what San Antonio is. It's a lot of what San Antonio is founded on is Hispanic culture. So how they share their experiences and share their culture is through food. And one of the best ways to tell someone about your culture is through your senses, through taste. So I mean, a lot of that expresses their culture and expresses who they are.
Great, thank you. And then, why do you love living in San Antonio?
Well, I just moved back. I moved away to Dallas and Houston for a few years, and I just moved back about a year and a half ago, and there's no place like home. I mean, you're not going to find a Muertos Fest like this anywhere else besides San Antonio, or if you go down to Mexico. So it's just full of culture. It's very diverse, and it really is a small city in a big city. They have a small city mentality, very friendly, very open to different kinds of cultures, different kinds of people. But you have all the wantings of a bigger city.
I completely agree. I'm born and raised here, so that's what I think as well. And then finally, how do you think food and culture in San Antonio relate to the identity of San Antonio?
Food and culture relating to the identity. Kind of like what my answer to the previous questions were. San Antonio was pretty much founded on Mexican culture, Hispanic culture. I go to my mom's house for her cooking all the time, and that's what San Antonio really is. It's a lot about family, staying close to your family, staying close to your culture, and sharing a meal is the best family event that you can have. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Ricky. Very nice to meet you, and enjoy your day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. It's really nice to meet you. Okay, and we're here with Tony. How are you today, Tony?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good, thank you. And are you from San Antonio?
I'm not from San Antonio. I'm from Houston, but I now reside in San Antonio for school.
Okay, and how long have you lived here?
I've lived here now for about 2.5 years.
2.5 years, great. Yeah. And so could you tell me what you think of San Antonio and food?
In food, I like San Antonio with their food. I've gone like the Chart House, and I don't know if you've ever seen by Incarnate Word, Tress. It's a really nice place. They have a lot of nice places out here, but what I've learned is you need to travel outside of San Antonio in order to find like Austin. Austin is a great place to find really, really unique food. Okay. San Antonio has a lot of unique chefs out here, but I feel like they kind of originate from here and then travel outwards.
Yeah, okay, very good. And then what's your favorite restaurant in San Antonio and why?
Favorite restaurant in San Antonio and why? I would have to go with Tress just because Italian food is very hard to I'm trying to think of the word, but just recreate. And they do a very great job at doing it. It's something that I know I can go there, order anything off the menu, and be satisfied with it.
Okay. And then, what do you think of the culture, or why do you think the culture of San Antonio is important to the restaurant industry here?
Well, I think culture, no matter where you are, is important. And in San Antonio, obviously, you have a very heavy Spanish culture here, and that's what they're born off of. That's what San Antonio itself is a Spanish name. So I feel, they kind of go off of that whole Spanish concept, and that's what they strive off of. That's what they that's what they have. Yeah. So I think that's why it's important to San Antonio, is because you gotta stick to what you know.
Yeah. Okay, and then why do you love living in San Antonio?
Why do I love living in San Antonio? I love San Antonio because how underdeveloped the outskirts of it is. I love the land. I love being able to go out and literally sit out in nature and be able to hang out here. And at the same time, if I wanted to go to a very nice restaurant or something very modern, I can just travel 15 minutes to downtown and you have all this. It's very developed. It's a very cool city.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And then, how do you think food and culture in San Antonio relate to the identity of San Antonio?
Well, I think food and culture relate for a lot of people in a different way, but for San Antonio, I would say just because it's diverse. There's so many different type of people out here, so many different cultures out here that I've myself witnessed. And I mean, being in the culinary arts industry, I've been able to kind of like, I don't know, I guess explore other people's minds. People who are from Japan who've brought stuff over here to San Antonio and trying to open it here and show San Antonio that it's not just about the Spanish culture, that there's so much more. And I don't know, it's kind of, that's what I think is cool about it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. It was very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Later, guys.
You have a wonderful day. So today for Behind the Savor and also for my graduate capstone project, which is trying to relate food and culture to the identity of San Antonio, we decided to go to the Cove. The reason we chose the Cove is because I did an initial survey on Facebook of all my Facebook friends, and about 30 people answered so far, and a lot of them put the Cove in their top 3 favorite restaurants in San Antonio. I actually have been here, born and raised in San Antonio, and had yet to try the Cove, which is shocking to me since I love food so much and trying new restaurants. But nonetheless, I hadn't been there yet, so it was a perfect opportunity to go and try it out. So we went to the Cove, and we stood in line for about 45 minutes, which was probably the only downfall to the entire experience. And really, that wasn't much of a downfall. It was kind of fine. It was a really nice night outside, standing there and just kind of observing people and seeing what was going on. And, you know, they're pretty friendly. They pass out the menus, make sure everything's going well for you while you're standing in line. And the great thing was, once you order the food, it came out really quickly. But we ended up ordering 2 different burgers, one without a bun, one was the Texas burger, which had like refried beans and such on it. I ordered the fish tacos because apparently that's what they're most well known for, and also some spicy green beans that were a special. And everything was delicious. The food was outstanding. Loved it. Loved every bite that I took. So that part was great. But I feel like people probably go there not only because the food is amazing, but also for the atmosphere. Because one, everyone was super friendly there. From the people who were in line to the actual staff that works at the restaurant. Everyone is just friendly, open, talky, which is definitely something that I feel like is a part of San Antonio's culture. But it's also a really cool location. It's right near downtown San Antonio, and it's in an old car wash. So it's like they renovated an old car wash into a restaurant, and they play live music. So they have one building that's live music, but it's all open. So even though it's an enclosed building, they have these really pretty wood shutters on the doors and on the windows, and it's all wide open so you can hear the music. It was like sort of country, sort of oldies, but really, really nice music, really fun. And it was really loud, but in a good way. And then the atmosphere, there's a bunch of diversity, which is something I like, but I think that kind of showcases San Antonio, and also, again, why people like going there. You saw people of every age bracket. There was little kids, families with their kids. There was 30-something-year-olds having a glass of wine or a beer at the Bees. They have a bar. There was older couples. There were older people. There was just everyone, different races, very diverse. Again, like San Antonio, and just a bunch of different people sitting there having a good time. The one thing that brought everyone together was definitely the food, but also that everyone was just having a good time. You could tell everyone was talking and chatting. And I watched one family who sat there and they prayed before their meal, and they were soft-spoken, but you could tell they were a great family unit. But then there were some loud families right across from them, having a blast, being loud, talking. There's kids screaming who are playing on the playground, but they were funny and all playing tag. And it just was very communal because you sit very close to one another. Even if you're on separate tables, I was in close enough range to actually hear what people were talking about. But other than that, there were some long tables where multiple families that weren't together were sitting. So just part of that friendly environment for sure. I just really enjoyed my experience there. I thought it was not only a wonderful day to go because it was nice outside, but the food was awesome, the service was awesome, and just in general, it was a great place.